Your plans? Today it's dinner with the parents at your spot.
We gotta come back here.
Now, their spot. Or you're on the edge of your seat at the game.
Come on, just one time.
And it's the one. Or maybe you're catching the next flight to...
Now boarding flight 1850.
Oh, that's you. The choice is yours. And when you're with Amex, it's not if it's going to happen, but when. American Express. Don't live life without it. Your favorite band's about to play a sold-out show, and you definitely got tickets. And drinks. Now hurry and make it back to your spot. Past this person and that person. About 20 more. Ooh, watch out for feet.
Hey.
Just keep going. A little further. Oh, there's your friend.
Over here.
Right where you want to be. Close enough to see the set list. And they're definitely playing your song. When you're with Amex, it's not if it's going to happen, but when. American Express. Don't live life without it.
Enjoy basketball, soccer, and all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using bonus code LIBERTY, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. Plus, when you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. Download the BetMGM app today or go to BetMGM.com and enter bonus code LIBERTY and place your first wager risk-free up to $1,000. Now you're winning with the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Pennsylvania only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call 1-800-GAMBLER in partnership with Hollywood Casino Morgantown.
Hey, it's Christine from Storyworthy. Today I kick off my 10-year anniversary with comedian Tammy Pescatelli.
So I happened to have, in my late 20s, I had a very violent boyfriend. So I tried to break away from him. And I moved to California, and somehow he moved to California, but he moved in with a girl. And I tried to tell the girl all about this guy. I wanted to warn her, girl to girl. And I didn't know exactly how to do it, but I got a lot of tips from the new place that I moved in. And it was myself, and then there was 4 strippers in various stages of their careers.
Today on the show, comedian Tammy Pescatelli talks about trying to help a girl who was involved with a dangerous guy. Stay close.
Hi, my name is Tammy Pescatelli, and you're listening to Storyworthy.
Welcome to Storyworthy. My name is Christine Blackburn, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Whether you're a longtime fan of the show of 10 years or a new fan, welcome to Storyworthy. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the story last week with Rajiv Satyal. Do you know Rajiv?
Do I? No, I don't.
He's a really great guy, Rajiv, and he talked about the fact that he has performed stand-up on all 7 continents.
Okay, beat me. Completely beat me.
Can you believe that? I think he's the first person to perform on all 7 continents. Because, of course, Antarctica is what everybody's always missing.
Yeah,
you know?
I can't. I did about, I guess I've done 4, right? Yeah,
4
but
continents.
yeah, and I thought that was a lot. But Antarctica, where did he go? Just some kind of like hut? Is there a
Yeah,
true chuckle hut? Right?
Yeah, it was the penguin party over in the well, you'll have to go back and listen. It's interesting. When you go to Antarctica, you don't get to like just go on a boat and dock there. You are docked way off the coast, and then they take you in on these tiny dinghies, and they only take like 10 people at a time, and you can go to Antarctica, officially the continent, for 1 hour, and you gotta haul ass to get back to the
It's
boat.
like my mother-in-law's. You don't want to be there more than an hour.
You can't spend much time there. So anyway, it's super interesting. You guys go back, listen to Rajiv Setyal talking about Antarctica. Very interesting. That was the title of the podcast, Antarctica. So we learned. Yes, it was one of those learning things. So that was very exciting. But not today, you guys, not today, because I'm here with a really fantastic.
Today you're going to learn nothing.
We intend to learn nothing, but we do intend to laugh. Tammy Pescatelli, I've been watching you, Tammy, for years. You are just one of those dynamo female comedians, as it were. And I don't mean to say female, but I will say, okay, I will say, because I've done comedy a lot as well. But what I guess I'm saying is, there's a lot of fantastic female comedians, obviously. Maria Bamford, Lord Kilmartin, Jackie Cation. Yes. But there's not as many powerhouses. I mean, they are in their own right, sell everything out. They're all great. But I mean like April Macy, the way she stalks the stage. And Tammy Pescatelli, the way you command the audience. You really do.
Well, thank you. And first of all, love all those women. That's amazing.
Yeah,
love you. Thank you. Been waiting to try to do this with you. We've talked about it for a year, so I'm so excited to finally get to do it. I think I had to, that is a persona that really is just me to the 10th power, because I had to do that to be heard at my dinner table as a kid. I think I grabbed a microphone so someone would hear me and actually listen to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Now, we do have actually a couple of things in common. One we just mentioned, you have a 12-year-old son. I have a 13-year-old. Yes. She's in 7th grade, and I guess now she's going into 8th.
Opposite, 6th, then going to 7th.
Mm-hmm. Right. And of course, so we have that in common. And then also, I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm from Pittsburgh.
Okay. I am not from here. I'm from Northeast Ohio. Right. But we moved here shortly after having my son because, look, I had my son in 2008 when the world dropped out, the last financial crunch. There was a the writers were on strike. My husband at the time was acting, writing, directing. And we were like, let's just go to New York and try to get it worked out. I can focus on, because I'm a road comic. Like I don't get cast in things. I mean, maybe one day that will happen and change, but I couldn't stay in LA because we had no family and I didn't have enough money to pay someone to care for him the way he needed to be cared for.
While you're on the road.
Right. And I also saw a man in a 3-piece suit, a briefcase, and a Superman cape walking past my house one day. And I was like, oh, I might as well raise him around crazy people that love me,
That's so funny. That's very funny. Well, Meadville, my niece went to school there, Allegheny College.
Yeah, I live just down the street from there.
That's kind of a prestigious place, isn't it? I mean, it's a small school. It has some academics that are really strong, I guess.
Right, huge. That's why they can't have great sports teams, because like every senior day you hear like, here's Frank Faison. He's a fullback. And he's an electrical engineer with a minor of astrophysics. So it's like he does not care about tackling the guy for the ball. You know what I mean?
These people are smart. Now, I've watched a lot of your content on YouTube. You have so much content out there, Tammy. It's really great. And you have so much confidence. That's what it's so attractive. It's very attractive to see somebody who is in control of what is going down. Like you're like the quarterback of the show and it's going to go the way I want it to go. So it's just very powerful. You're very powerful.
Well, thank you. Well, Christine, you know where I didn't always have confidence. I didn't grow up with confidence. I'm a very ethnic girl with a big nose and big features and crazy curly hair in a time that Heather Locklear was the ideal beauty image. You know what I mean? The flat chested blonde hair girls and the real tiny, I'm a big, I was never heavy until COVID. Thank you, Jesus. Thanks for that, to add to the getting old and the hot flashes. Sure appreciate that. Yeah. But, so I wasn't confident growing up. But then when I would get on stage, I was confident in my ability to make you laugh, because comedy to me transcended looks or gender or anything like that once you were funny. Mm-hmm. And I think as I grew, then it became really clear to me that I have to take control of this. My mortgage is predicated on these people having a good time. You can't trick people out of their money more than really once but some people you can trick out of their money twice. You have an audience that'll come see you once and they'll pack it out. You'll see this all the time with these Hollywood made comics. They sell out shows everywhere. But the next time they come back, 50% are in the audience. So they're no longer in the theaters. Now they're in the clubs, right?
Yeah.
And then the next time, the third time they come, no one wants to come. So they end up having to join up with another headliner or some kind of tricky show. You know what I mean? Or they just do one show and leave. So I was like, I don't have all the things that they have. I don't have all the tools that a lot of these big name acts have. All I have is my act. So I better give it to you. You don't get to interrupt me. I'm going to respect your money because I know you had to pay for a sitter and date night. So you had to have drinks and gas and dinner. And if I allow some heckler to interrupt that set and not give you the show that these people paid to see, like they're going to fight in the parking lot and then never comes. Then I get blamed. Oh, she wasn't that funny. That's because I didn't get to finish.
So smart. No, it's really smart. And it seems so simple, but yet it's not. But it does come down to like this respect of like, I know what you guys came for. And you know that they're rooting on you, like, or rooting for you. They want you to be funny because they paid. And then you have the confidence to say, yeah, and I'm going to be. So just sit there and it'll happen. Just let me do my thing. It's really good. It's interesting.
Thank you. I mean, you know what? And I think it's also the 10,000 hours. I put my 10,000 hours in.
Yeah,
I started in open mics. I worked my way in on the club circuit, MC, feature, headliner, first split week headliner, special engagement, back to headline, whatever, depending on what time of my career.
What did get you on stage the very first time? Because that's usually pretty specific.
Okay, so I'm a smart mouth, always. Never was funny. I'm not a jokester. I'm not a clown, but I've always been a smart mouth, okay? Grew up in a really tough Italian house. Like, they were very strict. I wasn't allowed to do stuff. I was captain of the cheerleaders in the smart classes, but also some of my favorite people were the punks because they were smart mouth, okay? And I was the kid that you could pick on me, but I would come back with something that 3 weeks later you'd come back and go, do you really mean that? You know what I mean? So, and I have boys. I grew up with all boys. My brothers, all my first cousins, when I was young were boys, all older than me. I have 11 first cousins that were all boys. So
how many brothers?
I only have 2 brothers, but I have 11 first cousins that were all boys. So, wow. And I grew up in a time where the neighborhood, we raised each other. All the kids in the neighborhood raised each other. My mother, when I was a kid, was really sick from the time I was like 4 to like 11. She had different bouts with cancer and stuff like that. So I was raised by my grandparents for a little bit, and you just become tough. And I think that transition because I was such a smart mouth. I love stand-up. I gravitated to it. Didn't know that women did it. I know it's stupid. It's just, it's the mind of a 14-year-old, 15-year-old girl in the 80s. The women I did see didn't register because they were talking about their husbands and their facelifts and exactly what I'm talking about now, quite frankly. like exactly where I am in my life right now.
No, but I know what you mean because our resources were only, we had comedy albums. So Cosby was always having albums out. Richard Pryor had the albums. George Carlin had the albums. And then the 80s, then what we saw, what was on TV, what they showed us, what they wanted us to see, because there wasn't the internet, so there weren't the other outlets that we have now. So you saw what they wanted you to. So it was Circus of the Stars. That was a big show.
Yeah. I mean, I would always watch Star Search. I always had this desire to perform. I mean, I loved people like Rosie O'Donnell and Paula Poundstone and Ellen in the beginning was amazing, but they were quirky. You know what I mean? So I couldn't see, and I'm a mainstream, like girl next door kind of thing. So when I graduated from college, the guy that I had been dating all through high school and college, we broke up literally a month before. I was supposed to go hang out with him in the summer because I had an internship in the fall. I'm a fashion design major. My parents had moved. By the way, I'm a fashion design major because in 10th grade, when I went to my guidance counselor and told her that I wanted to be a comedian or an actress, she told me, "You're from here, this small little town outside of Cleveland. No one from here has ever been on TV. If you want to be on TV, you got to rob a bank." Right. So, which is, it's like, okay. That's why I went back to the old high school to do my special. Just the
The
latest one
last
I
one.
did.
The
Right.
way after school special. Yeah.
Right. Not only I thought I was going to show her that you can accomplish anything, but I enlisted kids to work alongside professionals. We established a scholarship. And then when I went to tell her off, she was dead.
Oh, well, it is 30 years later.
So either way,
Fair
but
enough.
still we accomplished what we needed, But yeah, so if you're thinking revenge, you should do it faster.
When I was in high school, our guidance counselor, his name was Pete Ioli, and he was also the pirate parrot, which was like the mascot for the baseball team.
I went to the Pirates. We were the Pirates, Perry Pirates.
This was the Pittsburgh Pirates, but it's just so funny.
Oh, that Pittsburgh Pirate. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the baseball team. And our guidance counselor was the big bird. It was so bizarre. It was like a pirate, but it was a pirate parrot. So it was a parrot dressed as a pirate.
Yeah, that's odd. Yeah, so I moved with my parents. My parents had left the Cleveland area. They went to a place called the Quad Cities, which is in the middle of the country, Iowa and Illinois, right? I knew no one. My dad's job transferred him. He was like a regional vice president of a insurance company that immediately laid him off. But they had a comedy club. And I loved stand-up. So I thought, let me go for this summer. I'll go get a job. Where else do you meet? I'm 21. It's not like I'm going to know anybody. I'm not going to meet people. So I can't go out by myself. Like, it was so weird at that age to move there. So I got a job at the comedy club. I made friends. I watched stand-up for free. I was the world's worst waitress. But a woman came through. And me and my big mouth, it was so weird because it just opened up the whole world of comedy that you could really make a living as a comic, but you didn't have to be famous. You didn't have to be known. People were going all around as comics. And this woman came through and she was the host. And I said, "I'm as funny as she is," to my family at the dinner table that night. And my brothers bet me $50. They pooled their money together. And for $50 back then, I'm lucky I wasn't working at a strip club because I did the open mic. It was sponsored by a radio station. They hired me to be the co-host on the radio show. I did that morning radio for 2 years, 2.5 years, became the house MC at the club, and then hit the road running and never looked back.
Wow. That you actually got quite a break there, young lady.
Not really. You think it's a break. It wasn't.
No. What the break is that your parents go to the middle of nowhere and there happens to be a comedy club there. And then you happen to be in the position to learn. In other words, what you just said about I learned that comedians, you didn't have to be really big, but you could be a comedian and make a living at it. Like, I learned when I got to LA, that's the first, and I've been here now 22 years, but I remember an acting teacher saying, you don't have to be a famous actor to make money. You just have to be like, somebody, he's like, I know plenty of actors that have nice houses in Pasadena and you would never know who they are.
Yes.
Like I hadn't realized that. And I think that that's what I mean by your break is that you knew it was tangible.
Oh, I thought you meant the radio station because that was the worst. That was the worst.
Was it fun?
Think about it. I'm 21, 22, 23, working at a radio station, morning show. Radio was hot back then. Everybody's coming in. It was like, we did Bon Jovi and Escape and all those people. But in radio, they work their way to the morning show. They go to broadcasting school. They do their overnights and weekends. And I'm this dummy that shows up in the morning on a radio slot. So there was a lot of, now you would call it hazing, almost bullying by the people the adults who worked at the radio station.
Is that right? Because they were pissed that you got
Yeah, it was really rough. And then any mistake that you made, who cares about social media when they type? Back those days in the radio, if you made a mistake on the air, they just call you up and go, "You're an idiot." Like, oh my God, how did I know you didn't call it Greenwich? I don't know.
That Greenwich. That's funny. That is a hard word though, to be fair. When you see Greenwich written, it
I
doesn't
probably
look.
would have known it because I do know that. But I
Yeah.
was also 22 years old and I was staying out
Yeah.
until 3:30 in the morning, then going to the radio station and sleeping on the jock couch and getting up at 5:30. So maybe, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't going to give up who I was. So I was really lucky. And that I mean, that comedy club was attached to, it was a Funny Bone, which was attached to the chain that had like 26 and the improvs.
Yeah, my first
Right.
was at the Funny Bone in Pittsburgh.
Well, that guy never hired me. Those two brothers in Pittsburgh, the Schneider brothers, screw you if you're listening. They told me because then I immediately moved back to Cleveland. And they told me, and I lived downtown and I was the house MC at the Cleveland Improv and everything else. The Schneider brothers in Pittsburgh, which was 2 hours away, and I'm working everywhere, told me women aren't funny and we're not hiring any women. So you're lucky that they let you on stage over there.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, but on the phone, straight up told me that.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't some kind of thing that they hung up and someone relayed to me. They were happy to tell me. And I was just like, I think I'm funny. You should just let me try. And they were like, nah.
That
And hung
is
up
just
on me.
so shocking. And I know that because you've been around long enough to have seen a lot of other shocking things. Like I heard somewhere you were on Last Comic Standing and that an executive came in and said, just so you know, women can't win this game or women can't
Yeah,
win this
straight
show.
up.
They just said that.
Straight up. We were backstage. Myself, Kathleen Madigan is myself, Kathleen, Alonzo Bowden, John Heffron, and Gary Goldman in the final five. Kathleen and I shared a dressing room, and an executive came in the back just to check, say hello, just give us, hey, thanks for a great season. They'd had like 17, 18 million viewers, and said, life-changing, and said, yeah, just go out there and have fun. Don't worry about winning. And I'm like, well, you never know. And they were like, no, women's not going to. He goes, don't worry about it because a woman's never going to win this show. And I was like, hey, you never know. And they're like, nope. But there was also an executive.
So unbelievable.
Listen, I almost quit right then. Like I would have walked out.
Yeah.
But then I'm walking. Then my goal was, what I was going to do is walk out there and go, because he said that. And I knew I had a strong fan base, which thank God I've coasted off of them for the rest of my career. Yeah. But my original plan was to then at that moment go out there and go, I have a full set ready. I'm going to do it for you. And then do my set and then go, don't vote for me, vote for Kathleen, and put the microphone down. Wow. Because I thought if I do my set, then if I don't do it, then they're going to say, oh, she just didn't have material. That's why she did it. So I thought if I do my set and it's a good set, and then I tell them to vote for, they said, if you do that, we're going to sue you.
Wow.
And I didn't have $2.
Because you signed a contract.
Yeah. They were for $50,000. Any breach of contract was an immediate $50,000 hit. I didn't have that. You know what I mean? You're talking about 2004. There was also a different executive that said to me, I'm not going to swear, but we were at the Improv hanging out, eating dinner, shows in full. This is before the finals. And I was like, this has been really great. Like it's finally changing the career. And he goes, and wait till the fall. He goes, we're going to be effing. And I was like, in my brain, I thought he was going to say like effing touring, effing making money, effing doing another show. And he just goes, wait till the fall. We're going to be effing.
Why? What the hell is that? What is that?
Well, you know what it is. It's the same stuff we always put up. But the difference is that's another thing. I mean, I would go, and I just looked at him and I go, I wouldn't F you to become the president of the United States. Let alone win a stupid contest or go on the road.
Wow. That's just the craziest stuff, man. Well, I think things are changing, but it's just, because now, I mean, even before the COVID stuff, there was a vibe going on, like at least down at the Improv where I have a monthly show, there was a vibe going on that was almost like counteracting what was going on. In other words, so instead of a guy blatantly saying like, hey, man, you look hot, it would be like this. It'd be like, You look good, Christine. I appreciate when a girl dresses up on stage or something. You know what I mean?
Aw.
Or dresses right. No, no. I said it wrong. Like, okay, so like the dig, it would be a dig, but it would go like this. It'd go like, hey, you look good, Christina. That's the way chicks should dress on stage. It was a cut.
Yeah, no matter what. Yeah.
So, but it's like now you're twisting it. Like, I don't even know why anybody has to bring up anybody's looks or anything anyway. This is like a vocal medium. We're not athletes. We don't have to, you know.
Well, I used to do that joke. I mean, like I used to say, like, I mean, and I think this is what got me in trouble with a few people. I said, used to do a joke about like, who cares what I look like? You know, people always say, where'd you get your nose done? Where'd you get your boobs done? That was a joke. I used to go, God, you know, but I said, how good, I'm a female comic. How good looking do I have to be? Who set the precedent? Roseanne and Paula Poundstone. I win. You know, I mean, it's not, I never tried to be a supermodel. I know I'm a comic. I'm pretty clear. Did I want to look nice? Yeah. But for me, not for the audience, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, that's really, really funny. Hey, here's what I'm going to get to your story. Here's my favorite joke that I've heard you do recently.
Oh,
You're
no.
talking about how there's different generations in the audience. And it's true. There are. There's like the baby boomers, the Gen Xers.
Yeah. There's too many.
And you say about the millennials, yeah, you guys have hope. We don't have hope, but we can write in cursive.
Well,
It's so funny. My mom, well, now see, she's 84 and a half, but she still will say like, is Alabama learning cursive? Because, you know, they don't teach cursive. Is she learning it? I'm like, well, first of all.
yeah, that generation is, but the middle generation, our kids generation, I'm like, I'm so excited for them because they have all the skills of what we had, which were nothing. Okay. They have all of the new technology skills.
Yeah.
They have all of the hope. They see women rise. They see that colorism is against every humanity code.
Right.
Like they're really going to have I just hope I can live long enough to just trickle off of that. You know what I mean? Because I think their generation is good. I do think that there was a couple generations between us and them that really just got the shaft. Like they literally, their parents were coked up or hanging out and trying to find themselves.
Yeah, sometimes I just say to my daughter, get in your room and start working on a vaccine. What are you doing? You're supposed to be saving the world. Come on.
I know. It's just a different time. It's like even all this stuff there's a lot of stuff happening right now with female comics and what men said and this and then. I said, if you knew what your older sisters in comedy went through and what was said to us, you wouldn't even be able to stand up next to us because the stuff that we had to just shrug off. And I mean, people didn't say stuff like that to me that's horrible after a while because I just would tell them where to go. Like, you know, you had to develop that. But I will say, we didn't use our sexuality, which it's a double-edged sword. We weren't allowed to. You don't want to be sexy on stage. I love that these young girls can be who they are and use their sexuality and go right for it. So I think it's a double, you know, I mean, I think once women started being naked on their album covers, it changed the dynamic.
Yeah.
Which I was all for, just not for me. Because I'd have to have a double album set, like one breast over here and
Get out of
the
here.
other.
You're so funny. All right, listen, we're going to get to your story. By the way, guys, Tammy Pescatelli, she brings forth the topic, the stripper colony. The stripper colony. So I'm not positive, but I think we're going to talk about that they all live in the same place. I think that's what we're going for at some point. I think that's what it is. It does seem to be like I have two stripper friends. One of them, no, they do both live in the same building. So maybe it is a thing. Oh, that's ironic. Anyway, you guys, we're going to get to Tammy's story in just a second. But before we do, I wanted to remind you guys to head over to storyworthypodcast.com because there you'll find the information about the next Storyworthy Hour of Power, my new show every Sunday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Tammy, you'll have to come and do it. It's been really fun. It's 5 storytellers total, me included, each telling a true 10-minute story. And it's just goes in one straight hour. And I've had the talent, man. Well, there's just so many wonderfully talented people and just super fun. The show is also up on YouTube, you guys, so you can head over to the YouTube page and find it there as well.
I can't wait. I'd be honored to do it. I'd love to do it.
The Story Worthy Hour of Power every Sunday night, 6 p.m. And we're going to go until this COVID is cured.
Let's do it. I love
That's
it.
the idea. All right, you guys. She's here right now. Tammy Pescatelli, as you've heard her, she is, of course, a comedian. And her latest comedy special just came out in March of this year called The Way After School Special. And you can purchase that. And you can purchase that right now on iTunes and also Amazon Prime. And then you have 2 half-hour comedies on Comedy Central. And you have a Netflix special that is now on Amazon Prime as well called Finding the Funny. And then you're doing this new little show with your son that I think is adorable called Finding the Funny Family. And so it's basically talking about kids' jokes, and it's trying to keep this new generation coming up, keep some levity about them. But I think it's amazing how many wonderful talents are coming on and telling jokes. Mark Maron.
Yeah, Alonzo
That's
Bowden,
amazing.
Caroline Ray, Billy Gardell, Sherry Shepard, Marilyn Rice. So many amazing people.
Amazing.
I need you to come do one for me.
I'll do it in a minute. I'd love to.
It's just jokey jokes. They're silly. It's quick. It's simple.
Yeah.
Our goal is 1 laugh a day. So this generation doesn't end up like our grandparents' generation that didn't laugh.
They were miserable, but also wasn't it something about the cameras? Like it took so long to get the camera to take that they couldn't smile because they couldn't hold the smile that long. Like,
right. But even jokes, like they just didn't know any jokes.
Yeah.
Like we grew up on jokes, on the paper cups, on your popsicle, in your bazooka gum. Like, this generation doesn't know any jokes. So when I saw this whole COVID thing went down and adults were consuming stand-up specials voraciously, what were kids doing? I mean, sure, they can watch movies, but there was nothing that made them laugh out loud.
Well, I'm going to run through that whole thing with my daughter. They're each like 10-minute episodes. And I can't wait. Yeah, I watched one, but I'm going to see the whole thing. It really is a fun idea.
You.
Yeah, it's really sweet. And you also, God, I'm telling you, okay, the Last Comic Standing, like we talked about, which, now it's just making me so angry. I can't even talk about that. It makes me so angry that happened. But then you had that reality television show on the WE network called A Stand-Up Mother. And that seemed to be a really nice, to me, I mean, it seemed like it's a perfect idea. You're a new mother. You're a stand up on the road. You're settling down with your husband. He's also an actor.
It was. Well, here's the thing. It was really cool because I was able to create it with a friend of mine. We sold it. I was so excited.
Yeah.
But it was basically about me being a wife, a mother, and a comedian, leaving Los Angeles, moving to a small town, being surrounded by family. But I really was a wife, a mother, a comedian, living in a small town, going to work and being surrounded by family. So when they would film in the house, that's the thing with reality. They give you a show, but they don't give you enough money. They would film and everybody would leave at 11, 12 o'clock. The baby would be asleep. My husband would be asleep. I'd be up till 2 cleaning. The crew would be back at 7 because I don't want my house to look crazy on television, right? Then the crew would be off. We'd film for 5 days. The crew would get their 2 days off. I would then we'd film till 5 o'clock. I'd go get on a plane, fly out, go do 2 shows or 2 nights somewhere, come back on Sunday. And as I was rolling in the house, the camera crew was waiting for me to start our Sunday night filming. And here's the baby. So it was a lot. And what they did is give me time to think. We had a 6-month hiatus because they had the president of the network changed. And by the time they came back and said, let's do it, I was like, ugh. And in a small town too, here's the other thing. I live in this really tiny town. We tried to live in New York. My mother-in-law lived 1 attached house away. One day I went to work, one day after I had my son, one night on a corporate. I came home. She had given all my furniture. She put it all out on the stoop because she got new furniture and thought mine was junky.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's like a bad movie. Like I pull up in a taxi because it was like 2008. I pull up in a taxi and I'm paying the guy and I see a man walking away with my grandmother's chair, like walking down the sidewalk. And I'm like, what the? And I run after him and I'm like pulling it. And he's like, it was out on the street. It was out. So I have to pay him $40 for the chair. That's my chair. Okay. I look, all my furniture, all my living room furniture is there. There's my mother-in-law walks out on the stoop with my baby, my newborn baby. He was 3 months, but that I had literally painstakingly squeezed all this breast milk and my SpongeBob square boobs thing in to save because I was going to be gone.
Yeah.
And she's got a formula bottle in his mouth, and she's like, I got a new furniture. I don't like yours. Yours is junk. This is junk. I'm like, it's mine. It's shabby chic, you moron. I was so mad. So we had this house in Pennsylvania, and we came here, and then we sold the show, and I got landlocked here. And everybody was very kind, but they would also bring strangers to my back door because they'd go, oh, I was at the gas station, and this person mentioned, hey, I heard Tammy Pescatelli lives here. And I said, come on, I'll take you to our house.
Oh, no. So you had strangers coming by.
Like, yeah, 3:00.
No good.
Yeah, I mean, he's 3 years old. So
what did your husband say after his mother did that? I would have lost it.
Here's the problem. My mother-in-law we have a great relationship now. I mean, she became the star of my show, quite frankly. But she is a lot of work. Okay. The joke in my act, I always say that the Pope would stab her with his hat. She is an Italian woman, right from Italy. My father-in-law died a year before. Each of my other 3 brother-in-laws and our 4 boys all got married in a year and a half.
Wow.
She lost her mind, and she really wanted to be in charge of every family. And the boys had just yesed her to death all her life. So I always joke that my father-in-law must have been the kind of guy that built Mount Rushmore. Like he just needed a project after work, to keep him for years.
Yeah.
So my husband said, he goes, hey, she was trying to do something nice for us. And I said, listen, the baby and I are going to Pennsylvania. If you want to grow up and be a man, you can come join us. If you don't, we'll figure out the custody details.
Wow.
And it took him 3 days, and he showed up.
That was perfect. Good. That was a good response. That's super funny.
I'm like, this is not going to work. Like, if that's how it goes, I mean, literally with it, it's just not going to work. Like it
can't. No, that's absurd. That's absurd. You have to have your own life and your own adulthood. You can, but see, my mother's Italian, and I mean, I don't ever say I'm Italian because I feel like it's too small of an amount. Like I just feel like I'm American. I don't know. Like I don't feel
sure. But you didn't grow up with the culture, right?
But my mom definitely did, and her last name is Tassadori, and her mother came from Italy, and so definitely. But there is a thing about like, I don't know. It's not incestual. I don't mean to say that, but there is a thing where there's a blending of the mom and the children that it gets so tight that the lines get blurred, and then people don't have boundaries.
That's right. There's no boundaries. There's no such thing as boundaries. They don't want boundaries. They don't need boundaries. Literally, I mean, if I say come visit, 17 of them show up. Like no one's.
That's all right. We'll just sleep on the floor. I'll just sleep over there. I don't care.
Right. And it's like, how do we have any quality time? By the way, like if you guys came out 2 at a time, we could spend some time. But if you just bring the neighborhood here, I can't entertain. Like what is this? A block party? I don't know what this is. So it's really difficult.
Super funny. You were also chosen 4 years in a row to be included in the New York Post's greatest jokes from the past year. That's got to be a thrill to see that. I mean, just for fun, right?
It is fun. Yeah. And then I don't know if they still do it anymore. I've been wondering. I'm like, how come I haven't heard from these people?
Yeah. You guys can find more out about Tammy over at her website, pescatelli.com, and also follow her on Twitter at Tammy Pescatelli. It's so fun talking to you, and it's so easy to talk to you.
I love you. Thank you. Well, you're great at what you do. I mean, like, such kudos to have all these years and this many episodes. I mean, like, what am I, like 600 and something?
628, I think.
Golly, God bless you. That's amazing.
Well, thank you for coming on, because this is my anniversary month, so I plan on having 4 fabulous guests. So thank you for being the first one, by the way.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
All right, you guys, wherever you are, put your hands together for Tammy Pescatelli.
Well, hello. So everybody knows a little bit about when you grow up and you have a heartbreak and everybody's had that bad boyfriend or girlfriend, right? So I happen to have, in my late 20s, I had a very violent boyfriend. But I didn't know about violence. I didn't come from it. And I was all by myself. And the comedy actually saved my life because when he would get violent, I had to go on the road and I couldn't call in sick because comedy, there's nobody to call in sick for you. So I tried to break away from him and I moved to California and somehow he moved to California, but he moved in with a girl. And I tried to tell the girl all about this guy. I wanted to warn her, girl to girl. And, I didn't know exactly how to do it, but I got a lot of tips from the new place that I moved in. When I first moved into it, it was a 6-unit apartment building that was originally contract players for CBS. So back in the day, there were these cute little Melrose Place kind of things. And it was myself, a young, upwardly mobile black man. That's what he referred to himself back then as a puppy. It was so cute. And that was his thing, and he's now working for the governor's office. God bless him. So good for him. And then there was 4 strippers in various stages of their careers.
Now, wait, these are 6 little bungalows or 6?
No, one apartment building that is centered in the middle by our mailbox, what should have been a pool, but was really just cement.
So like, I know what you mean, like Melrose Place, those apartments.
Yes, minus the accoutrement. Okay, so and literally it's 1 block from where they now have the Grove. They were building the Grove at the time.
Oh, it's a great location, mid-city.
Perfect.
Great. Yeah.
Just real. I used to walk to CBS when I went to work, and anytime I walked onto the lot, they never let me in because they didn't believe that you. So
that you walked and didn't drive.
Right. So so this is when I first moved in. Now I'm trying to hide. Okay, because I hear that this guy has moved to California and I'm trying to hide. So I quickly moved out of the apartment building that I was in because he was very violent. And it took me a while. It took strength because when you first deal with those situations and you're a tough person, you don't understand where it's coming from. He was a strong alcoholic back then. And he used to do all these things and then cry. And I felt like I should help him through his disease. I was just young and didn't have the wherewithal. But so and I didn't tell anybody because I was embarrassed. So as I told people, which I think is a key, you tell people, I moved, and then he moved to California with this girl. And I thought, I got to get out of my apartment building because he'd already contacted me and I knew that he would come to find me at some point. I felt like I really thought that at some point in my life he was going to kill me. So I moved into this place. And it turns out to be a stripper colony. And I found out that they were all strippers because the day I was moving in, I'm by myself in the daytime. At night, I had a bunch of the comics from the comedy store help me because if I bought them pizza and beer, I had help. But no one woke up. They're all zombies and vampires. No one woke up before 4 o'clock anyway. So I'm like moving stuff and I'm like carrying these giant boxes. And I only have like 2 steps up to my apartment, but I'm trying to balance it and open my door. And I see this girl, this gorgeous, like she could have been, Pamela Anderson would have been her stand-in. Okay. Like just gorgeous, blonde, popping. And she's rolling up and she's got this Louis Vuitton big bag. And she comes out of this limo and I'm struggling and she's getting her mail and she looks over at me and I like smile and she just goes back to her mail and I'm dropping stuff falling out of the box and I'm literally, she goes, "Are you moving in?" And I'm like, yeah. And she just goes, "Oh, right. No, nothing." And as she goes to pass me, all of a sudden this extremely hot guy comes running in. And I kept hearing a phone ring all day long. And this guy comes running down the parkway or whatever you call it, the little walkway, and says, because it's outdoor. Yeah. And he says to her, "Hey, I have been calling you all day. I've been calling you since last night." And she goes, "Oh, I've been helping her move." And she throws me. She doesn't even know my name. I'm her, okay? She opens up the door, throws her Louis Vuitton bag on top of my stuff, and goes, "Hey, would you watch out for me? I'm going to take a break from this. I'll be right back." And walks out with him. She's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was helping her." And he introduced himself to me. I forgot what his name was, whatever. So, and I'm like, what the? So I finished moving. There's this Louis Vuitton bag. I mean, it's a big one of those duffel bags. I don't open it up. because I don't even know why. I didn't even think to open it up. I'm just like, whatever, this is crazy. And I about I don't know, 6 hours later, she comes back, knocks on my door. She goes, "Hey, where's my bag?" I said, "What? Here's my bag. Here it is." I mean, she opens it up and she starts count. There's like 100. I don't know how much money was in there. Like literally, turns out, you know how April talked about the Seychelles? I don't know if it was the same chic, but this woman, let's just call her Lala. She was one of the most sought after strippers and other stuff. And she would go once a month to the Middle East and sleep with the sheikh. And he would pay her in cash in a little duffel bag like that. She didn't even take luggage when she left because she didn't want her boyfriend to know. And they provide her with everything over there. So she just had a purse in this duffel full of cash, and she left it with me. And then they actually, I mean, there was another one that I called Magda because she was older. I mean, probably younger than me now, but really tan. And she was naked. You know how the people you never want to see naked are naked? Always naked.
Really?
Walk completely naked
Yeah.
to go to her mail, think nothing of it, have a full conversation with you completely naked. Right. Just never. There was another one that was adorable. She had giant double D's. Like when we grew up, there was Morgana the Kissing Bandit.
Yeah.
She had those giant ones, but she was environmentally conscious. And she used to ride to work at Crazy Girls, which is just up on Sunset.
On
She would ride.
Sunset, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it is Hollywood, is it? It's like La Cienega, right?
It's sort of famous because it says 5 beautiful girls and 1 ugly one or something.
Yeah. Well, she was beautiful, but she would ride in the old electric cars that look like golf carts to work. Okay. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I had to go pick her because she wasn't very smart, and how many times I had to go pick her up at like 4:00 in the morning because she forgot to plug it in. But she would pick up trash on the way. So she was the world changer. There was another one that was, well, there was they changed, but there was one that came after Lala's place. She was the Animal Rescue League. She literally she had free range birds, turtles, cats, dogs. I mean, there was a bunny that hopped around up there. Like I would see a lot of guys go up, but you would also see them leave like shortly thereafter because it was just too much. But what ultimately those girls taught me is to be tough. And one night I went out with them. It was my birthday, and I had them as a squad. And because listen, right, there was amazing. Because by the way, I was working really hard, and I didn't have a lot of time for a lot of my other friends because they were getting married and having kids and everything else. And who else has Mondays off but strippers and comics, right?
Yeah.
So as long as I had
stuff to do,
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we hung out, and what I learned from them was a level of confidence that I never had they were the perfect people to bring me back to life after that bad relationship because they owned their sexuality. They were unabashed about so many things. A unity that would have never happened in Cleveland, Ohio. I would have never been friends, right? So anyway, just to wrap this up, we go out for my birthday. So we're having a good time. We went to the couple places that I knew my ex was banned from because, right, why would go? And finally, we got to the place where there was no way for him to get in, and they all did their own thing. You know, I used to call it, is this rude to say, can I say Pussy Patrol? Is that okay?
Yeah. They all split.
The Pussy Patrol stood down and we were on our own. Well, next thing I know, I wake up in bed at my new apartment with my ex-boyfriend. He must have roofied me now that you know the story, right? Now that we know what happened and I know about roofies and I mean, cause I'm not a blackout drinker. Never. I mean, I can drink, but I puke and do cartwheels, you know, but I'm not a blackout. I woke up, I'm in bed with him. Now I had told the girl, please, he's violent. He's using you to keep a roof over his head. And she hung up on me and said, you just want him back. And I'm like, I'd never dealt with girls like that before. I was just straight shooting.
Yeah.
So I wake up in bed with this guy. I'm like, what am I going to do? My apartment. So now he knows where I live. I've already changed my address, changed my number and everything. So I'm like, how can I keep him away from me? And I got up in the middle of the night and I wrote on his ass with a black Sharpie, Tammy was here, 5/15/2001. And I went back to bed and went to sleep. And the next morning he got up and we had breakfast because I wanted to just make it clear and make it calm. And he made up whatever lie he wanted to tell that girl that he was gone. And I found out years later that he was taking a shower and she was sitting on the counter. He said that his cell phone died and he spent the night at his friends. And as he was toweling off, she saw Tammy was here. He saw it at the same time. She screamed. He screamed. And I got the phone call that said, "You're crazy. I'm never coming. You're trying to get." And I never had to hear from him again. I didn't have to move. Because he knew not to mess with me. Now she's not going to pay for your rent. And that was it. And I thank the strippers for freeing me from that bad situation.
That is so funny. How did you find out that was his girlfriend to begin with? How did you track her down?
So friends of ours knew her because he was so blatantly bad that he would take me to the airport to go to work and she would fly in and he would pick her up and then he would bring her around our friends.
Wow.
So I thought, I was young. I didn't grow. My girlfriends were my girlfriends. They were solid. I didn't know cattiness of women. Like, someone once tried to say about me, like being jealous of someone. I don't come from that kind of.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I'm not a chick like that. I'm not girly. So I thought, hey, you just tell someone the truth and you're looking out for them and maybe they would believe you, but she didn't. I feel bad.
That. Yeah.
Yeah. She found out later and came and cried at one of my shows, sat front row, got drunk and cried at one of my shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
How funny. I mean, that's unbelievable. So she just, that was her penance or whatever. That's how she gave back to you, I guess, right? She's saying like, you did the right thing by me and I think you're talented. I'm supporting you. Something like that.
I guess I mean, I don't harbor her any ill will. I was just trying to save my life. At that point, I thought if I told her she could check him and she didn't want to help me and my life was in jeopardy from this guy. You know what I mean? He was clear that he was going to kill me.
Unbelievable. Now, do you think, is that because there are things in our lives, right? There are things that kind of not break us, but there's these epiphany moments, right? So, my dad left or my ex-husband did that or whatever. So maybe could that have been part of you becoming a comedian? I mean, just pushing you, propelling you forward, the confidence.
Well, I was a comic at that time, and that's what helped me stay a comic.
That's
because
what I mean.
like I said, I couldn't call in sick. So if I'd had another job, I'd have got fired because after you have a violent thing, you don't feel good about yourself. You don't even sleep in your bed. So being a comic was amazing for me. Plus, it kept me around male energy for me to know this is not what, this isn't how it works.
Yeah.
This is not how, so definitely. And my life was so dark, I needed the laughter.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was really lucky to be so many great mentors, D.L. Hughley, George Lopez, Dom Irera, John Panette, Robert Schimmel. They really took me under their wing.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, that's great.
It's not that. Is that funny? It's not funny, but it is funny.
Because you funny.
Well, but it was funny because trust me, where do you come up with the right? Tammy was here 5/15/69. No, trust me. I have to tell you, and the girls of that play. I mean, I often want to write a story about just a show about that modern. It was the best thing. They brought me to life, and they taught me how to be. I met my husband through one of them.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think that whole thing where a girl goes off to be with a sheik or a prince for a weekend or whatever they do, I mean, there's definitely something to that. Now, I'm not saying I would ever do that, but it is so intriguing because as I understand it, when you do it sounds like I'm promoting that. I'm not promoting it. But what I'm saying is they send over like 200 girls. He only takes one or two like to bed with them. Do you know what I mean? The other girls just have to look nice. I'm just saying I have heard some good things about those those understandings, those relationships.
Yeah, I mean, listen, she was fully on her own, owning it. Like she literally did use the money to put herself through school. Like it was,
Yeah.
she was the proverbial. Now, I mean, did one of them, the environmentally conscious one, she OD'd? Like it just
Oh
depends on what.
God, she
Oh
did.
God, we went through that. Yeah,
Did she
please.
die?
Uh, the second time. The one time I
Oh,
was there, and thank God I had just seen, what the hell was that movie? Kill
yeah,
Bill, whatever, where
yeah.
you do
Put the
the
thing in the
pen.
oh my God, you did
Yeah.
that?
I didn't have we didn't have syringes,
Yeah.
but I kept pounding on her chest, just trying to pound on her chest,
Wow.
because everybody else was all out. So yeah, that was
Wow.
crazy. I used to see the stuff I saw from them,
Yeah.
from
Their
I
lifestyle.
could tell you, yeah, people coming over. Some of them were prostitutes. Some of them were just dancers. Some of them
Sure.
had some great ideas, and one of them
Sure.
went on to do some great stuff.
Yeah, creative people. But I'll tell you, if you start getting, listen to me, I sound like, the mother, like, but you start with the heroin. But it's true. They say heroin, if you go in, if you OD for heroin, OD on heroin, the odds of you doing it again are about 99%. Like it's just going
Yeah.
to happen. You can't, I don't know. It must be so strong that there's no
Well,
way out.
I think whenever a woman is strong, there's an isolation in it. And you have to find peers who are strong.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes, even though you can convince yourself that you have a false confidence, and I think this sweet girl just got used up, and she didn't, you know what I mean? Like she did. Not that I should have. Not that I could have done a stripper intervention. I couldn't have, because I really thought she could handle herself. But drugs are bad. Period. What am I, Nancy Ray?
So if you're out there listening, kids, don't forget drugs are bad. How are things, and then we got to wrap this up. How are things in Pennsylvania regarding the blue laws? Because that was always so ridiculous. Like when I go back to Pittsburgh, in terms of you have to get your beer at a distributor, you have to get your wine at a state store, you have to get, this is
Oh
different.
yeah, I don't know. That's so confusing to me, because I grew up in Ohio, and basically we had fake IDs from 18. You could go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's so weird. Yeah, you have to go different places. They have a lot of drive-through liquor places.
And often you have to buy a whole case of beer. Like you can't buy a 6-pack. You got to buy the case.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, and I'm not a huge drinker.
Yeah.
Although I've fallen in love with this homemade moonshine that this one little place makes. It was COVID. I didn't know what to do. Like, I
Yeah.
don't drink. I don't do. I'm like, I need something. Either someone's gonna have to punch me in the face so I can go to sleep every night. I don't know what to do. So I've been taking a little belt of this moonshine.
That's hilarious. The weed delivery service has really taken off out here. There's so many
I
places
know. It's still
to
legal
deliver.
here. So what you guys have that puts you to sleep, I could go to jail for 7 years for.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Those backward laws. I just hate being treated like a child. And when I go to Pittsburgh, I feel like that. I feel like you're telling me I cannot buy any alcohol on Sunday. Like what is that? But somebody
Well,
told me it was because Pennsylvania, it's not just because it has backward laws, but it has these Commonwealth laws.
That's right. It's not a state. It's a Commonwealth.
There you
So
go.
they have all these issues, which is the Commonwealth. I don't even have unemployment during this COVID. You know how the whole world has unemployment?
Yeah.
They don't recognize entertainment. Okay? There's not even a click box.
Wait a minute. There's not a place on the form to say entertainer.
No. Nope. Nada. Nope. People are like, call them. Okay, I have. I've received a busy signal. I wrote it down. 4,217 times I've called since March 24th. And my son didn't even know what a busy signal was at the beginning of this. Now it's great. 12-year-olds wouldn't know what a busy signal is. And mom's like, now he hears it and he's like, oh, are you trying again? And I'm like, yeah. Then we have the appeals and all this stuff. I haven't heard anything. They just don't recognize entertain. I'm not even asking to recognize me as a comedian. Just recognize me as an entertainer. Then they said my residual payments were my employer. I go,
wow.
Oh yeah, I survived on $1,306.
I know.
Residuals are nothing.
Yeah. But see, that is like, okay, like I'm raising my daughter here, and I'm, as it were, in the industry, and her dad is in the industry, and she can see that it's very tangible. And then she's got some YouTube channels, and she's always busy doing her thing, but she can see that it's a possibility to be in this industry, to be a writer, to be an artist, to be whatever. I'm just saying, like where I grew up and where you grew up
Yeah, we
in
know.
Ohio, we didn't have that. But what you did get, I guess, is going back to our earlier point, was going to that tiny town in the Four Corners or whatever, where there was that one comedy spot. That was a break to see it.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I had snuck into the comedy to the Cleveland Improv. I had went to see stand up, but to actually that small town, there's like a couple million people in that Quad Cities, but there weren't a lot of people. I mean, I was able to there be in plays, do radio, do stand up, be on TV for segments for different things. So
Yeah.
I went to college again in the arts and entertainment for the 3.5, 4 years I lived in the Quad Cities. Then I went back to Cleveland, and then I went to Los Angeles. And now I'm back. And then I went to New York for a little bit, and then here.
Well, now this whole COVID thing has proven that a lot of people can live really almost anywhere they want, and then just go to work when you go to work.
Right. I was told not to tell anybody. You know what I mean? Don't tell. Okay.
Yeah.
We have a show that's about me living here. Just tell them that you live there for a little bit. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's so funny.
It's an amazing thing. Had I known you, I probably would have stayed. I didn't know anybody who was pregnant at my time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All the female comics I knew who had kids, their wives had their babies, or they were at a better level of their career. Like I didn't have any support.
I didn't have any, I didn't know any other mothers at all in Los Angeles. And so I joined the Moms Club, or I tried to join the Moms Club in Silver Lake. And they told me that they already had too many people and that I had to start one in my own zip code, Los Feliz. So I did. I founded the Moms Club in Los Feliz. And now there's like 80 members. It's still going really well. So it's exciting. But I had to literally start a club to get friends.
That's awesome. I kind of did that in high school. I started PFLAG, Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, because I had a friend that one of my little buddy, he was always getting picked on. I'm like, okay, we need to start. We did that to create like a barrier around him, so
I
he
love
wouldn't
that.
get picked on.
That's really sweet.
We could have come up with something better, but I didn't.
Still, I like the idea. In other words, it's like you've got a problem. Well, you better get some ingenuity and fix it. Do something about it, or just turn on Netflix and forget everything.
I'm telling you, it's
different ways to go.
Yeah, I'm half activist, half lazy. That's like I'm a hybrid.
Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on today and telling that story. That was great. The stripper colony. I love it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, you guys, we got to wrap it up. I did want to remind you to, again, check out storyworthypodcast.com and find out more about the Hour of Power. Every Sunday night, you can watch from anywhere in the world. Tickets are on Eventbrite, but there's always a free option. You're welcome. So definitely, guys, check that out. And Tammy, I really hope you come and tell a story. It's a laugh.
I will. I mean, I'll find a different story to tell because as I told you that, I'm like, maybe this is too dark, but it's the idea of the transformation. So
it's awesome.
You're amazing.
A true story. It's so interesting. It's so much better than fiction. It really is.
It's a story I can't tell anywhere else. So thank you for giving me that opportunity. Right? I can't really get into that story on stage.
Yeah, probably not. Well, listen, you guys, find out more about Tammy over at her website, Pescatelli.com. And on behalf, one more time, of the very talented Tammy Pescatelli, thank you so much. Thank you.
No, thank you. My honor.
My name is Christine Blackburn, saying, make it a story-worthy week.
Thanks for joining us on the Storyworthy Podcast. We'll be back next week with all new stories. Subscribe to Storyworthy on iTunes and visit the Storyworthy website at storyworthypodcast.com.
You made it. Checked out of office to check into the sweet views of this place where the kids aren't asking for the Wi-Fi.
Mom, can we go to the pool?
And when you're with Amex, it's not if it's going to happen, but when. American Express. Don't live life without it.
Cedar Point's Frontier Festival is back and brimming with new flavor. From May 26th through June 19th, this Old West-inspired street fest will fill Cedar Point with live bands, nightly hoedowns, and a hubbub of family activities. Yep, you'll find wheelbarrows packed with sunflowers and characters straight out of the frontier, but you'll also discover 25 cherry-inspired dishes and over 65 cocktails, seltzers, and beers. Get all the fixins, plus savings to boot with the Frontier Festival Bundle, which includes admission, parking, and a tasting card. Only at cedarpoint.com.